Remember how about 3 years ago I decided to film a Bookish Academy Awards tag on BookTube? Yeah, I'm bringing that back today for my 2016 reads. It's not going to match the Oscar categories like I did for my original tag video. I wanted to come up with some different categories in order to incorporate my least favorite reads and my most disappointing reads as well. So I have 16 categories here, so let's get started. Starting off with a bang, my favorite standalone of 2016 was The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. The plot starts when the bookkeeper A.J. Fikry discovers an abandoned baby in his bookshop, and the story unfolds from there, and it's just a story of his life, and it's just so heartwarming. There was a twist about midway through the story that I did not see coming at all. When you read a book like this, you don't really expect there to be twists, so I was pleasantly surprised by that. I really appreciated the writing style and the frame of the entire story. It was very unique and very fitting for what happens in the plot. It's just a heartwarming story for people who love books and just appreciate life, and I definitely recommend it, and I gave it 5 stars, and like I said, it was my favorite standalone of the year. The second category is my least favorite read of the year, and that would be Sex Criminals Volume 3, the Hard Way, and I think this was my least favorite of the year because I was looking forward to it so much, and it was such a letdown. I think I waited over a year for this volume to come out after reading the second one, and Sex Criminals is such a brilliant comic. It's so funny. It's just hilarious, and I waited and waited for this third volume, and it just didn't live up to expectations, and I'm not sure whether it's because I've read so many comics since I started this series, but it was just definitely a disappointment. This comic has always been a bit meta. However, this was meta to the point of sloppy writing and lazy writing, and I just felt like it did not work at all. I love the first 2 volumes so much that I will be continuing with the series, however. Category 3 is the shortest book I read this year, and that would be Fantastic Mistakes, Neil Gaiman's Make Good Art speech that he delivered at Philadelphia's University of the Arts a few years ago, and they put it in book form. It's about 80 pages long, making it the shortest read of the year. The speech is just urging people to make good art no matter what the circumstances are in your life. Be happy, be proud of your work, and the typography in here is brilliant. It's red and blue oriented, which I love, which normally you don't see in typography. It's a bold choice, but I feel like it really worked well. I just love the typography so much. Category 4 is the longest book I read in 2016, and that would be The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. Look at this beast. Look at it. Holy crap, I read this. Wow. And let me just say, the 1,100 pages that this book contains are well worth the time and effort to read it. I love this series so much. I think I'm anticipating book 3 of this series just as much as I'm anticipating Winds of Winter. This is the sequel to The Name of the Wind, which if you didn't know that, you're probably living under a rock. So yeah, if you love fantasy, give this series a go. Category 5 is most disappointing ending, and that would be Y the Last Man, book 5, which is the conclusion of the comic series. This comic series spanned 10 trade paperbacks. I loved the series as I was reading it. I loved the characters. I loved the character development. I love this post-apocalyptic world that it was set in. For those of you that don't know, a disease wiped out everything with a Y chromosome except Yorick and his pet monkey. So he's literally the last man on Earth, and it's just about survival and humanity, and I really was disappointed in the ending. I felt like the payoff was not there at all. I thought it was rushed and didn't really make sense, and I don't know, maybe I need to sit on it longer to appreciate it, but I definitely did not like the ending compared to the rest of the series, and that's such a bummer because I was absolutely loving this series. Like, I would still recommend it to people, but the ending is just, ugh. And I feel like maybe since it's a post-apocalyptic world, no ending would have been good enough. I don't know, I feel like there might have been a better way to wrap this up. Category 6 is the cliffhanger that broke me the most, and that would be The Winter's Crime by Marie Rutowski. This is the second book in the Winter's trilogy, and I'm still not over it. Even though I read the conclusion, I read the third book, everything's okay now, the ending of this book still hurts to think about. I'm really not a crier when I read books. I really don't cry, but the ending like brought tears to my eyes. It has to do with Kestrel, the main character, and her father's relationship, and I don't know if it's because I'm really close with my dad. It just devastated me, and I can't even form words about it. And for those of you that have read this series, you know probably exactly what I'm talking about. Bravo, Marie Rutowski, for inflicting that emotional pain on me. Category 7 is favorite new series that I started in 2016, and that would be Wings of Fire by T. Sutherland. This is a middle grade series about dragons. It's just so good. I can't even explain it. The characters are awesome. It's about the dragonets of destiny. There's 5 of them, and it's a 5-book series. Each book follows a different dragonet, and together they're prophesied that they're going to pick the ruling queen at the end, I believe. There's 3 queens who rule the different parts of the world, and they're all at war with one another, and the character development is awesome. And this is book 3 that I'm holding right here, and I think it's my favorite book of the 5 books so far. So yeah, definitely recommend this series if you love middle grade and dragons. Category 8 is my favorite comic of 2016, and that would definitely go to Sweet Tooth by Jeff Lemire. This is a series set in a post-apocalyptic world. It's about a plague that wiped out most of the humans, and then after the plague hit, everything that was born afterwards is an animal-human hybrid, and they're hunted, and it's adventurous, and there's some mystery involved and some moments. But the best part about this comic for me is the ending. I feel like it pays off, especially considering it's a post-apocalyptic world, which is what I just talked about with Y the Last Man's ending and how unsatisfactory that was. In comparison, this is brilliant. This is so brilliantly done, and I will definitely be reading anything Jeff Lemire writes. Category 9 is my favorite comic art style from 2016, and that would definitely go to the Wicked and the Divine series. I just think the colors are so vibrant and bold. Ooh, can't show you that. It's also really clear-cut paneling, which I appreciate. And even on the duller pages, I love the blue schemes going on. It's my favorite color. This is volume 2, Fandemonium. It's definitely my favorite volume of the series so far. Category 10 is the most bizarre read of 2016, and that would definitely go to I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young. And this is volume 1, Madly Ever After. And guys, this is the most bizarre, weird comic I've ever read. It's marketed as Deadpool meets Alice in Wonderland, and I can definitely see where that comes into play. Does this tell you anything? Does this page tell you anything? This comic is about a little girl who gets sent to Fairyland, and when she gets there, the queen is like, you can go home, you just have to find this key somewhere in this land. And that happened 27 years before the events of this book. She's still a little girl. She has the mind of an adult. She's very angry and grumpy and just kills anything that moves. She's just a nasty person, but yet she's still in this little girl's body, and it's just hilarious and bizarre and nothing that I've read before, and I really appreciate that a lot, and I'll definitely be continuing with this series. Category 11 is the best audiobook experience that I had in 2016, and that would definitely be re-listening to the Harry Potter audiobooks. I listened to all 7 of them in 2016. It was the best way to reread the series. Jim Dale, the narrator, does like 160 different voices. It's just incredible. It's so immersive. It's just so magical. Haha, pun. I had gotten so used to the movies that I forgot so many little things that happened. It's been a couple years since I reread the series. The most surprising thing to me was realizing how awesome book Ginny is compared to movie Ginny. Like, they totally dropped the ball there. Category 12 is the most unsettling read of 2016, and that would definitely go to The Magicians by Lev Grossman. This is book 1 of a trilogy, and if you don't know what this is about, basically it's about a magical school. I would say it's like a university for adults, and this magical land called Fillory that our main character Quentin's obsessed with, and here he finds out that it's real. It's unsettling to me because the characters are so realistic and unlikable, and they're depressed, and they act like depressed people would. They make terrible decisions, and I even hated Quentin, the main character. I buddy read this with Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, and I know she pointed out how they make terrible decisions, but she thinks that it's realistic. Like, that's how people would choose to be if surrounded by magic. And I definitely agree with that. And this story was done so well. Lev Grossman definitely turns fantasy tropes upside down, and I really appreciated that a lot. Category 13 is favorite cast of characters, and I definitely gave to Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This story follows 6 main characters, and all of them are developed so well, and I appreciated all of their backstory, and I got attached to every single one. Normally that doesn't happen. Normally you have favorites, and I do. Nina is my queen. And although this is a heist story and there's a lot of action, I definitely think the characters, you know, stand out the most. And I can't wait to see what happens to them in the sequel because I got it for Christmas, so I will be reading Crooked Kingdom pretty soon. Category 14 is Best Thriller, and that would definitely go to Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a mystery thriller about a scientist who, when he was younger, instead of inventing the next best thing, he decides to settle down with his family, and years go by, and he's walking to the store or from the store one day and he gets kidnapped and injected with this solution. He wakes up and he is himself in a parallel universe where he didn't decide to settle down. He did decide to invent the next best thing, and that next best thing is traveling through parallel dimensions. His scientific counterpart that became the career scientist hijacks his life pretty much. So our main character is trying to travel through all of these dimensions to try to find his true home. It's really hard to explain, but it is just so brilliant and it's so addicting, and I finished it in like a day, and I can definitely see this being a movie, and I highly recommend it to anyone who loves mysteries and thrillers and concepts about infinity and parallel universes. It is just awesome. I read this on Kindle, but I had to own it because I loved it so much, and this cover is awesome. I love the typography, what can I say? Category 15 is Best Relationship or Friendship, and that would definitely go to Lawrence and Temeraire from the Temeraire series. This is book 1, His Majesty's Dragon. This is by Naomi Novik. She also wrote Uprooted, which is really popular right now. This series takes place in the Napoleonic Wars, but it has dragon warfare. Lawrence is our main character, and he is in the Navy, and one day he finds himself in the possession of a dragon egg. It hatches, he names it Temeraire, and the rest is history. Their relationship is amazing. I love how they care for one another, how they worry about one another, how they appreciate each other's likes and dislikes, and it's just so heartwarming, and they are my precious babies. I don't know if you've ever read Aragon by Christopher Paolini, but the relationship between Aragon and Saphira is nothing compared to Temeraire and Lawrence. Like, that is just hard for me to say because I love Aragon and Saphira, but Temeraire and Lawrence is where it's at. And the last category for this video is the best reread of 2016, and that would definitely go to A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I had never reread this series before. The last time I read A Game of Thrones was 2011. I just caught on to so many different things, foreshadowing and character tidbits. I enjoyed this reread so much. Last June, I think, I had my grandmother start watching the show. Yeah, you're probably thinking, whoa, you watched this with your grandmother, but she's awesome. What can I say? And of course, then season 6 was going on and I was watching it, and like my love for Game of Thrones just rekindled. Like, it just reignited. Because I thought for a while that I wasn't into it as much as I was before. I was wrong. I was wrong. Right now, I'm about 30% through A Storm of Swords. That's where I ended my A Song of Ice and Fire reread. But I really want to continue before Winds of Winter comes out, and that could be this year because it has an international serial number. So I need to get on that. I need to get on that. I really do. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Let me know below what your favorite read of 2016 was. Let me know below what your least favorite read of 2016 was. And I will see you all soon with another video, and I hope you have a fantastic year. Bye!